Hi everyone, this is a short sequence that you can use in preparation for birth and in the last few weeks of pregnancy, just to help you feel a little bit more comfortable in the body. You're going to be using a ball as well, and some of the positions you might find, or some of your ladies that you're teaching might find helpful during labour as well. All the things we're going to do I used in the early stages of labour, and I found it gave quite a lot of relief to my back and helped the contractions to keep going. So let's give it a go. So just got your birthing ball here. Okay, we're going to warm up the hips, hands on the ball, take the feet the same width as the yoga mat, bend the knees to help protect the back, and from there we're just going to roll it forwards. Okay, we're going to keep the levers fairly short. I'm not going to roll the ball all the way out. We're just using this as a bit of a warm up. Obviously, if you say if you're 39 weeks and feeling kind of heavy, and then you start doing a big long lever, that might strain the lower back. So just keeping it nice and small. Just get some movement going with some nice deep breathing. Good, let's do 2 more from there. Okay, and then just coming back up. Good, okay, slowly coming down onto the mat now. Place one hand onto the ball and take one leg forwards, other leg back. You might at this point like to have some padding underneath the knee. Now these lunges won't be very helpful for our mums with pelvic girdle pain, okay, so I would eliminate this part of the sequence for our mums with painful hips. Their hips are feeling okay, then this will be fine. So hands onto the ball, and then from there again we're just going into rocking movements, so slowly coming forward. So every time you come forwards, it's making a bit of space in the pelvis for baby to get nice and deep into the hips. My toes are pointing forwards on the front leg. My toes are tucked under on the back foot. That just helps to take a little bit of pressure off that back knee. Again, you can make the movement as big or as small as you wish. Okay. For pelvic girdle pain, you could have this leg back, so in box position, and then just simply rolling the ball forwards and back from there instead. Keep it a bit nicer on the hips. So again, as I bring this front leg, as I move the body forwards, this front leg is going to a bit more flexion. The back leg is going to a bit more extension. The action of that is to create a bit more stretch across the base of the pelvis. It will also help to stretch the pelvic floor as well. So we've done quite a lot of these now. I wasn't counting. 12 or 15 is plenty. We've got to think about that pressure on the back knee as well. We don't want to make that more sore. So let's from here come back. I'm going to bring the front leg back now. Let's just take a rest in child's pose. So sitting the hips all the way back to the heels, my knees are nice and wide to make space for baby bump. And then from there, I'm just taking a lean forwards onto the ball. Now, of course, if the hips don't reach the heels, we can place cushions or rolled up yoga mats just in between the bottom and the heels. We don't want to be here with no support because that could put a lot of pressure on the knees. So make sure you've got something to go underneath. And then from there, just moving forwards, giving the ball a little bit of a hug. Maybe small movements there. If you've got a partner with you, they could be pressing onto the back if you're in early labour, or even pre-birth in the weeks leading up. It could be quite nice to have someone just pressing down onto the back to help release the SI joints. That's also going to help to make a bit of space in the pelvis. It'll be quite minimal, but it will help. If you've got your head turned to one side, let's turn the head to the opposite direction now. So again, just nice and slowly. It feels so nice actually, it feels quite therapeutic even if you're not pregnant. And then just coming back to centre. Okay, so we'll come back into the lunge now. So bringing the other leg forwards. Again, I'm tucking the toes under on the back foot. Leg comes forwards, and then from there again, rolling the ball forwards and back. The ball is just giving me a little bit of support, and it's helping me to keep the movement nice and fluid. So we're not stopping at any point. We're not trying to do huge, big stretches on the hip. We're just trying to make a little bit more space in the pelvis. Give the pelvic floor a little bit of a stretch as well, and the psoas muscles too, which when they're scared, they tend to grip on. So we definitely don't want that during labour or end of pregnancy. So we're trying to loosen the psoas muscles as well, and let them know it's safe to let the hips open and stretch out. Good, let's try 3 more. I'm breathing out as I move forwards, inhaling as I come back. Lovely. Okay, and then again, just coming back from there. Let's change the rest position this time. I'm going to come down onto the hips, take the legs apart, so either side of the ball, and this time leaning onto the ball from there. Okay, so a little bit different, much less stress on the knees. I've got my legs quite wide, but of course you can bring them in a little bit. If the legs don't easily straighten, I suggest putting more under the hips, maybe a yoga block or two, or cushions, whatever you've got. And you could also keep the knees a little bit bent if that's what's needed. Okay, so just resting forwards from there. Again, you could have the head turned to one side, just letting the ball roll from one side to the other. Again, just that nice fluid feeling. And then turning the head again in the opposite direction. Okay, so let's think now. So you've opened the hips a little. We will be doing a bit more of that in a moment. Let's think now about tipping the pelvis forwards. This will help the positioning of the baby with regards to anterior and posterior presentation of the baby. The more we tilt the pelvis forwards, the more likely baby is to move into an occiput anterior position, which is what we want, which means the back of the baby's head is going to be around towards mum's umbilicus. Okay, this tends to lead to an easier labour. I use the word easy apprehensively, but you know what I mean. Okay. All right, so from here we're going to tip the pelvis forwards in a box position. So again, I've got my toes tucked under. I just find that takes a little pressure off the knees, and then from there we're just taking a lean forwards. Be mindful you don't sink into the lower back or demonstrate it to your people that you're teaching with a sunken back. Try and keep the back as flat as possible, much less strain on the lower lumbar. And then from there you can again just lean forwards. So now we just let gravity do the work. We don't have to do much while we're here. Gravity will help draw the back of the baby's head and baby's spine around towards mum's umbilicus, towards her abdomen, as opposed to her spine when the pelvis is in this position. The position of this pelvis is a forward tilt, okay, or an anterior tilt. All right, and you can do this as long as you like. I did this for a really long time during labour, actually, with my first, because she was quite stuck. I think it was probably an hour or something. It felt really nice at the time. And then I carried on standing up, leaning forwards on the ball, and carried the movement on. It just felt very good on the back. Okay, and then again, just coming all the way back to centre. Let's again just untuck the toes, let the hips drop back, just taking the pressure off the knees for a moment. You could either stretch it forwards if that feels good, or give the ball a little bit of a hug. Again, if you've got someone that can just press on the SI joints, that's super nice too. Not essential, but super nice. Okay, and now from here again, let's come all the way up. We come back to those lunge positions now. Instead of keeping it linear, we're going to go out on a bit of a diagonal. This will help to move the top of the femur bone away from the pelvis a little bit, helping to broaden the base of the pelvis. And it's this that really helps to create the space in the pelvis for baby to move down lower. Again, I did this a lot. Second time round, I did this a lot because I knew a little bit more by then, to get my contractions going again, because they'd slowed down quite drastically to the point of almost stopping, having been quite established. And I found this helped get them going again. Okay, so bringing one leg forwards and then out to the side. I'm going to take my foot in a diagonal too. Okay, so if my foot was on a clock face now, this foot, it would be at 10 o'clock. Okay, so that kind of angle. Instead of rolling forwards with my leg out wide, that could be a little uncomfortable. I'm going to let the ball follow the tracking of the leg. So from here, I'm just rolling it out to the side and then drawing back. My other leg, it's my right leg that is back now. My right hip and right knee is still facing forwards. Yeah, still facing the top of my mat pretty much. Because if I let the whole pelvis turn, then I've just gone back to a straightforward lunge that we've already done. Okay, so you want to just keep it nice and wide. You'll know you're on track because you'll feel a bit more stretch down the adductor, down the inner thigh. Okay, and again, I really like using the ball for this because it gives me that support. If I was on the floor, with my hands on the floor, I would find it quite difficult to get my breath, heavily pregnant, and it would be harder to reach the floor as well. So again, just keep a little bit more fluid by using the ball Let's just do 2 more there. Exhale as you come forwards, inhale back. Let's do 1 more. Exhale forwards and inhale all the way back. Good, holding it there now. I'm going to bend through the front leg, foot flat to the floor. I've got my left leg forwards. I'm going to take a reach, breath in, left arm up. Exhale as I come over into a side bend, stretching into the psoas, hip flexor here a little bit with this. This will help to open up the pelvis too. And also releasing any tightness through the side of the lower back. So a nice little reach over, opening through the ribs there. I've got quite even weight through my legs now as well. And then coming back to center. Okay, so let's try that on the other side. I'll try it face on towards you so you can see a little bit more what's going on maybe. Okay, so now I'm bringing my right leg forward. I'm going to turn my foot out. So again, if it was on a clock face, we'd be hitting 2 o'clock right now. And then from here again, I'm just rolling the ball to the side. Again, just going in that diagonal. Again, this lunge would not be helpful and it's not appropriate for our women with pelvic girdle pain, okay? So again, we would eliminate that. Otherwise, it's all good. Exhale again, coming forwards. A way to protect the lower back while you do this as well is to tighten the glute muscle on that back leg. As you come forward, contract the glute a little bit, and that will help protect the lower back. If you tend to have a sore lower back on a regular basis, you learn these things. Breath out. Inhale again, coming forwards. Okay, so every time we come forwards, we are making space. We are broadening the lower half of the pelvis, also known as the inferior half of the pelvis, the lower half. Making good space for baby to get nice and low. So as I said, this did help get contractions going again because little Rosalie could move down a bit more. So that was good, effective. Okay, and then 1 more from there. All right, coming back to center. Good. Again, just coming into that side stretch. So I've got the legs at 2 right angles now. I'm taking my right arm, I have my right leg forwards. I'm just using that ball for stability as I reach again all the way over. Neck, shoulders nice and relaxed. Nice deep breath in and out. And then again, just coming all the way back to center. Just taking 1 more lean forwards on the ball for a rest. Now you could either have the legs bent, hugging the arms around the ball, or from there you might like to, after you, because you've been resting on the knees in that lunge, you might like to 1 more time just let the legs stretch out from there. Arms just resting onto the ball and then leaning all the way forwards. A few deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. And it's good to have a rest as well. Obviously in labour it's good to have a rest in between contractions, but in the build up, when you're doing your yoga and your antenatal movements towards the end of pregnancy too, just make sure you don't deplete yourself too much. Make sure you have little breathing spaces like this and little still points. Some teachers think, and I believe this too, it's when you're still, the baby starts to move into the good position. It's not actually while you're moving. So rest is just as important as the movement. Okay. Right, and then from there, we could come down onto our side just into a little relaxation. Don't need the ball for this. I'm going to pop it to one side and we'll see if it moves. Might roll back into the shot. Okay, so after those movements, really nice just to take a little bit of a rest. So you just take your blanket underneath the head there, or you might like to put it in between the knees. I suggest coming down onto left side. This will help the position of the baby. Because on left, when baby is occiput anterior, that's great. And if baby can just move a little bit around to the left, that helps baby align really, really nicely with the shape of the womb as well, helping its descent, yeah. And it can get its chin tucked in as well nicely. So the part of the baby's head we want pressing down onto the cervix is much more likely to hit that if we're in this position more often. Also, much better for our circulation in pregnancy. We're away from the vena cava when we're on our left side, because it's slightly to the right of the spine. Okay, and then of course you can stay here as long as you wish. We're just going to take 5 deep breaths. So nice deep inhale, nice deep exhale. Again, nice deep breath in. Really focusing on relaxation as you exhale. Breath in, and then again exhale. You're welcome to stay here a little bit longer, otherwise using your right hand to press down into the mat to slowly bring yourself up. To come into a nice comfortable seated position. Nice deep inhale, reaching up and over. Exhale, let the hands come all the way down to send a little hello to baby. And namaste.